laws. So what are the laws governing your limit? So ito yung mga 8 laws governing your limit. The first one, meron tayong constant rule. So we're in limit of k as x approaches c is equal to k. So ibig sabihin, yung limit ng constant natin is also the constant itself. Number 2, we have here identity rule in the form of a limit of x as x approaches c is equal to c. We have also your multiple constant rule, or in limit of k times your function as x approaches to c is equal to the constant times the limit of the function as x approaches c. Number 4, power rule, limit of f of x to the nth power as x approaches c is equal to the nth power of the limit of f of x as x approaches c. Number 5, the root rule. We have limit of nth root of f of x as x approaches c is equal to the nth root of the limit of f of x as x approaches c. Number 6, addition and subtraction rule. If limit of f of x plus minus g of x as x approaches c is equal to the limit of f of x as x approaches c plus minus the limit of g of x as x approaches c. Product rule, limit of f of x times g of x as x approaches c is equal to the limit of f of x as x approaches c times the limit of g of x as x approaches c. So by the way, yung g of x is also a function. And last, we have the quotient rule. Limit of f of x divided by g of x as x approaches c is equal to the limit of f of x as x approaches c over or divided by limit of g of x as x approaches c. So gamitin natin muna yung constant rule. Again, yung notation nito is limit of k as x approaches c is equal to k, na kung saan yung k natin dito is the value of your constant. Okay? Pag sinabing constant, ito yung number lang na walang kasamang letters or variable. And the limit of your constant function is also your constant. For example, limit of 4 as x approaches 1, so our function here is 4, and 4 here is constant, therefore its limit is also a constant, which is 4. Another one, limit of 20 as x approaches negative 23, so 20 is our function and 20 is constant, and thus the limit of this is also 20. Last, limit of 1/2 as x approaches 0. 1/2 is our function and 1/2 is a constant, and thus the limit of this is also 1/2. Now let's proceed to the second limit law, which is the identity rule. Ito naman yung mukha ng identity rule. Limit of your x as x approaches c is equal to c. Kasi by direct substitution, lahat ng x magiging value ng ating c. Since we have x function only, then that is also the value of your c. Example, limit of x as x approaches 1. So yung x na to, it is also the same as your 1. Thus, the limit of x as x approaches 1 is 1. We have also limit of x as x approaches negative 3. Obviously, the answer is negative 3. Ulitin ko lang, gagamit lamang tayo ng identity rule if the given function is only a variable x. Okay? Walang kasamang numerical coefficient. Another example, limit of x as x approaches 0 is equal to 0. That is your identity rule. Third law, we have the multiple constant rule. So ito naman, meron na tayong combination of your function and also your constant term. Okay? So limit of your constant times the function as x approaches c is equal to the constant times the limit of your function as x approaches c. Example. We have your limit 5x as x approaches 1. So alam natin, okay, that our function 5x is divided into 2, okay? Yung 5 na term, which is your numerical coefficient of your function. So this is the value of your k, and we have your function f of x, which is obviously your x. So pwede natin siyang hatiin, okay, or pwede natin ilabas yung 5 na to, okay, to make it 5 times limit of your function, which is x na lang yung matitira as x approaches 1. Or kung gagamit tayo ng direct substitution, pwede din lahat ng x magiging 1, and 5 times 1 is 5. That is the limit. Another example, limit of 8x rather, as x approaches negative 3. So, para hindi tayo malito dito sa multiple constant, okay, pwede tayong gumamit ng direct substitution. Palitan lang natin yung value ng x with negative 3 to your function 8x. So, 8 times negative 3, the answer is negative 24. Another example, limit of negative 2x squared as x approaches 0. Yung 0 natin, that is the value of your x here. So we have 0 squared, that is 0 times negative 2, and the answer is 0. That is your multiple constant rule. We have also your power rule, meron tayong exponent here, and this is the notation for your power rule. Example, we have your limit of square of your function 5x as x approaches 1. So pwede nating hanapin yung limit ng function muna, then yung sagot is squared natin. Okay? So, the answer is still the same. Or pwede din tayo gumamit ng direct substitution. So, lahat ng x magiging 1 here. Then, operate lang, and the answer is still the same. Okay? Okay, so gamitin muna natin yung power rule. So, this is the equivalent form of this limit. Okay? So, ano yung limit ng 5x as x approaches 1? That is 5 times 1, or that is 5. Then we need to square the answer. And 5 squared is 25. This is the limit of your function as x approaches 1. Another example, we have limit of cube of 2x as x approaches negative 3. Is also the same as the limit of your 2x as x approaches negative 3 cube. Okay? So, hanapin muna natin yung result of the limit of 2x as x approaches to negative 3. So, substitution lang, sa x magiging negative 3, multiply by 2, the answer is negative 6, and we need to cube the answer. And negative 6 cubed is also the same as negative 6 times negative 6 times negative 6. And the answer is negative 216. This is your power rule. Number 5, we have your root rule. So meron tayong process of your nth root. Okay? So meron tayong indexed with your base as your function. Okay? So here we have limit of nth root of your function as x approaches c is also the same as the nth root of the limit of your function as x approaches c. Example. So we have here your limit of square root of 3x plus 1 as x approaches positive 1. So pwede natin, yung gawin natin dito, pwedeng direct substitution. So yung x magiging 1 here, then operate, and then find the square root. Or, okay, so pwede natin kunin muna yung limit ng 3x plus 1, where x is equal to 1, and then get the square root of that answer. Okay, so any way, it yields the same answer. Okay, so yung x magiging 1, so we get 3 times 1, that is 3, plus 1, that is 4. So limit of 3x plus 1 as x approaches 1 is 4, and we need to find the square root of that, and the square root of 4 is 2, and the answer is positive 2. Another example, we have limit of square root of 9 minus x squared as x approaches 0 is also the same as square root of limit of 9 minus x squared times x approaches 0. So yung x natin again magiging 0, and 0 squared is 0. 9 minus 0 is 9, and we need to get the square root of 9, and the answer is positive 3. Number 6, addition and subtraction rule. So this is the notation for your addition and subtraction rule. Example, limit of your x plus 1 plus 2x as x approaches 0. So we have two functions here. Okay, so naka-indicate na meron tayong two functions with your parentheses. So we have your x plus 1 as one function, and we have your 2x as another function. So to find the limit of this addition, pwede natin kunin muna yung limit ng isang function as x approaches 0, then i-add to the result of limit ng isa pang function as x approaches 0. So by substitution, ito magiging 0, and 0 plus 1 is 1. So the result for this is 1, and this one magiging 2 times 0, and the result is 0. And 1 plus 0 is equal to 1. Another example, limit of one function minus another function as x approaches 3 is also the same as getting the limit of one function as x approaches 3 minus the limit of another function as x approaches 3. By substitution, we get 3 plus 1 minus 2 times 3. Then evaluate, we get 4 minus 6, and the answer is negative 2, and that is the limit of the function. Number 7, the product rule. This is the notation for the product rule. Okay, the limit of the product of two functions as x approaches c is also the same as the limit of one function as x approaches c times the limit of another function as x approaches c. Example, we have limit of one function times another function as x approaches 0. It is also written as limit of your first function, which is x plus 1 as x approaches 0, times the limit of your 2x as x approaches 0. Then by substitution, 0 plus 1 times 2 times 0. Evaluate, we have 1 times 0, and the answer is 0. Another example, limit of your x plus 1 times 2x as x approaches 3. So this is your first function, which is x plus 1 times the limit of another function, which is 2x as x approaches 3. Then direct substitution, yung x magiging 3. So we get 3 plus 1 times 2 times 3. Then evaluate, 3 plus 1 is 4, and 2 times 3 is 6, and the product is 24. Last, limit law, which is the quotient rule. So yung limit ng quotient of two functions as x approaches c is equal to the limit of one function divided by the limit of another function. Example, limit of your first function divided by another function as x approaches 0 is also the same as the limit of your first function, which is x squared minus 9 as x approaches 0, divided by the limit of another function, which is x plus 3 as x approaches 0. Then direct substitution, yung x maging 0, so we get 0 squared minus 9 over 0 plus 3. Then evaluate, so 0 squared is 0, minus 9 is negative 9, and 0 plus 3 is 3, Then simplify, we get negative 3. And that is the limit of the function. Another example, a limit of one function divided by another function as x approaches negative 5 is also the same as the limit of your first function divided by the limit of your second function. Then, direct substitution. Yung x naman natin magiging negative 5. So we get negative 5 squared plus 10 times your x, which is negative 5, minus 9, over your x minus 12. Then simplify. So negative 5 squared is 25. 10 times negative 5 is negative 50. Minus 9, we get negative 34. In the denominator naman, negative 5 minus 12 is negative 17. Then simplify lang natin. Negative 34 divided by negative 17 is positive 2. So ito yung mga laws governing your limit. Okay? For the final words, the only way to learn mathematics is to do mathematics. See you.